Mito is you when you are manic. Yes, so for people that are new, Mito is, the reason why I keep saying Mito is real is I personified a version of me when I am in a manic state. So people with bipolar, what usually happens is there's type 1 and type 2. I am type 1. Type 1 meaning I have more harder rapid cycles. When they come really hard. There's no in between. It's either you're really there or you're really there. And so often do you ever feel in between. And when you do, it's because you're medicated. Usually people take lithium, stuff like that. I fucking hate it, but it's the one thing that allows me to sleep. Otherwise, you won't be able to sleep. A lot of intrusive thoughts. When you're in your manic state, when you're in these episodes, for people that don't know, you have so much, either one, energy, so much ideas, so much things aligning in your head that you start giving into a bit of your sanity. But the problem here is you don't know. The person that's in this state doesn't know they're in a manic state. It's hard because I even say that when I'm out of it, I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. But when I'm in it, it doesn't, all of that shit goes out the window. It doesn't matter. Here's a good way of putting it. There is no fear when you are in that state. I have no fear. And for me, I've subdivided my manic states into the highs and into the lows. The highs are the state where I am relatively happy, relatively functionable, but still am on a mission. And that is a state where I'm Mr. Insanity, which personifies the character where I am he's always like this, but that's Mr. Insanity for me. For the lows now, for the dark states, for the states that I am completely emotionless. Here's the thing. What goes up must come down. Okay, that's cleanly stating it. That's exactly what it is. What goes up must come down. For me, I've always thought there was a trigger point for a lot of these manic episodes. I've thought it was a trigger, but there's no real trigger. Because the thing is, everyone's different. For me, I get even triggered by how sensitive I am is, how people say you start off the day with what type of weather. So the weather usually predicts your state of mind and your state of mood, right? For me, it's amplified. The weather is a huge aspect. If the weather sets me off, and the thing is, it doesn't have to be sunny or bright. It just has to align with how I feel. That's it. And if it doesn't align with how I feel, it starts building. And I think after that build, you start feeling it, But sometimes there's times where I go completely blank and I don't feel anything at all. That's when I go into the darkest state. However, it doesn't mean I'm depressed. I don't know, some people will say it is depression. That is what depression is. For me, I don't know if I'm in self-denial sometimes when I'm in that state, but I've learned to cater to expressing that state. I wouldn't say abusing it, but I think I don't know a better choice of words. For me, I've started to abuse that state, meaning I wouldn't say reluctantly try going into that space, because that's the one thing I would never want to do. But when I'm in that state, I'll make the most out of it. Usually a long time ago when I was younger, I'll try anything and everything possible to get out of that state because I just wanted to feel. Okay, sounds like depression. There you go. But I think the one thing that I'm very aware of is when I'm out of it, it's passing. So it passes. It doesn't stay for long. That's all I know. So how I did it was I started redirecting it into art, music, videography. I'm not sure if a lot of my fans know, but a lot of the concert videos I had that I've made 7 years ago, 8 years ago, were videos based on my bipolar. I started really harnessing the dark powers and the dark magic. And, sorry, intrusive thoughts. I started harnessing a lot of that into and redirecting that into art. That was my purpose. It was just to make that into something. I wasn't on a mission other than trying to get away from it in any other way. So that's why I started from there. And I think music too, it's when I started personifying it, when I started making it into a character, that's when it got a lot more clear for me. But here's the crazy thing about making this into a character now, right? And I think a lot of people can agree to it. It's how much power you give to something, okay? So I keep saying Minor is real, right? Because for me, honestly, the character was real ever since I was young. But sometimes, often, sometimes I'm sorry, choose your thought. Sometimes I wonder if I'm actually giving too much power to this, and not in a way where sometimes I can control. And here's the thing: I know what I'm getting myself into by giving such power to such a character that I know easily well, that have complete acknowledgement over. And it's just those little things that sometimes strike a chord in me, because once I get into that state, like I said, like the past few days, I freak out, because it's like, I'll just make a brief reference, right? And by the way, I'm not undermining anything, I'm just making good reference. People with schizophrenia, right? And for those who don't know, schizophrenia is people that have, will see things that other people won't. Just simply put, it's the brain playing tricks, illusions and everything, and they have haunting visions sometimes, and they see it. Hallucinations, right? The one thing that you should never do with people that have this condition is when that type of person says that they see something, like they see something in the room, and you're with that person in the room, you should never direct your attention towards what they see, because it's giving power to the idea of that vision coming to life. Does that make sense? It's like someone's pointing out something that they could only see, they can only feel, right? But sometimes, right, it's when everyone else starts seeing it, it becomes all of a sudden not too far from reality. And I think for me, my mission is to conquer it. So here's the thing. That was the one thing that I had to make a big decision. Like, this was the one decision that really changed my artistry. Do I put out my story out there through my music, or do I not do music at all? That's it. Because I can't do music any other way. There's no other way for me. Like, I can't sing about money. I can't sing about the things that I want, big houses. I can't sing about, like, the demons that haunted me with such and such things. Experiences that I've never had, I cannot sing about. Period. To each to their own. There's no problem in that, okay? But for me, it was a decision of, do I go through with this minor character, knowing well enough what this might bring, but do I conquer it as I go? And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, why manifestation is key for me. This is why my album is a trilogy. Let me explain to you. Let me explain. I designed my trilogy, my album course, in a way where an angel, so everyone knows when an angel descends from heaven, turns into an archangel, boom, goes down from heaven, transitions, and turns into the darkest, sentient being ever. For me, I flip that. So for me, it's an archangel transcending back into the light. Bit biblical, but I believe in the power of manifestation. I started with the darkest album, the Black Album, Mido, because that's where I was in that period of time. I'm transitioning, the Red Album, through love and fury, and eventually, hopefully, going into the light. I am trying to predict my own future. Does that make sense? That is specifically what I am trying to do. And yes, I did spoil it a little bit, but that is the cause. Here's the thing. I can't see the comments, by the way. I don't know if I'm stuck, but I'll fucking say it anyway. Mito is the representation of the darkest sentient being that I am. I truly become when I'm in my lowest manic state. Mr. Insanity is the one that combats that. It's the one that brings Ian back into the light. Not for Ian's sake. This is where it gets tricky. It's just a constant war that I'm stuck in between. It's kind of like having your mom's characteristics and your dad's characteristics inside of you, but they're so conflicting that it's always like an ongoing war 24/7. That is kind of what it feels like for me. I just made that into a story, and I've just put that out there because I know people are going to be able to relate. I know to each their own, people are going to want a piece of what it is to feel like this, you know. And my thing is like, if I'm going to do this, I might as well encourage other people to shine light to their own demons and combat it, because I know there are people out in the world that are, such as yourselves, willing to help out and really be a part of, I don't know, this journey. So for me, that was the whole thing. I don't know why we got into this fucking talk, but somebody asked me what happened to my